25 minutes before 11 o'clock. It is time for the program called Damage Control. Joe Reichel is your host. He's the co-owner of Damage Control Services, and he and the guys go out to the homes that have had some damage to them, sometimes minor, sometimes major, sometimes to the level that you might even consider it disaster, and he restores those homes. That's pretty awesome. And sometimes he even starts from scratch. He just makes something brand new.
I like doing that.
Good morning, Joe. How you
Good
doing?
morning. Doing good.
So I have a story for you, and it actually is in connection with something you posted about a little tiny trickle coming out from under the cabinet, right?
Right.
Listen to this. This is how coincidental.
Yeah, when water comes out from under your cabinets, it's not usually a good thing.
Little tiny trickle you showed a photograph
Right,
of, right?
right.
Well, here's what I noticed. You know the little water line that connects the toilet to the outside where the water comes into the house?
Right.
Into the tank? Okay, there's a little... well, in my case, it's like a foot-long hose or something, right?
Okay.
Okay. So I happen to notice on the outside of it, it looked like it was sweating. And I thought, is that sweating because I just took a shower and it's kind of steamy in here, or is that unusually wet? So I kind of touched it and really couldn't tell. I wasn't sure.
Okay.
So what I did to test it could just because I thought, what if it's leaking? Because I thought of you. Because I thought if it's leaking, then it's going through the tile, probably getting to the wood underneath. Who knows how long it's been doing this? So I panicked. I wrapped a washcloth around the bottom of it to see if the washcloth would eventually get soaked.
Right.
And it did.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I know, right? So
It's not bad enough that you're thinking of me when you started getting wet, but
listen to this.
now it is wet.
I lifted up the tile, and the water stain under the tile on the wood was maybe 6 inches in diameter, not that big, in other words. So I caught it in time, and of course your thought, your words, everything you always talk about came to mind is, wow, what if I didn't catch that? Eventually, that would have become huge.
It would have been a very disastrous mess, and probably have to take up all the floor, and
I would have had to call damage control.
Yes, you would have had to call me.
I wouldn't have known what to do then. I mean, right at this point, all I had to do really was kind of put a lamp on it. I didn't have a dryer. Or anything like that.
Put a fan on it. That'd probably be
I did the fan and the lamp. Yeah, I did the fan and the lamp thing. So.
And that was in which room?
The bathroom.
Bathroom. Leave your exhaust fan on. That way they'll help pull the moisture. Yeah, pull the moisture out of there. So that's always a good thing to do. And fortunately, you caught it in time. We just. Speaking of catching things in time, I just left a client's house. She had a leak several months back. Her refrigerator line. She has one of those plastic lines, and it sprung a leak and leaked all out in her cabinets, and then into the dining room on the other side of the refrigerator, the back side. And we were able to dry it all out and put everything back to normal. She called me on Sunday and said, Joe, my dining room floor is wet again. And here's the thing. The appliance store, Goldman's, told her that she needed to replace the plastic line, the plastic supply line.
Right.
And when she called a plumber to do it, he came and fixed it instead of replacing the whole thing.
Oh, no.
So it just leaked again. So this morning, we've got the equipment in there drying out, and she got a new refrigerator delivered this morning, and it wouldn't fit in the opening. So went there this morning and helped her shift the cabinets a little bit so that we could get it in there and then put a new line. We ran a new supply line, one of the braided lines, a braided water supply line from the kitchen sink to the refrigerator for her. So hopefully she won't have this problem again.
My goodness, that's why. To me, I'd skip the line. I'll just fill up my ice trays.
Yeah, that sometimes is easier. As far as less, it's not easier. It's more hassle, but it you don't have the worry of a.
How hard is it to fill up ice trays?
Well, it's not, but it's a convenience whenever you just push the button and ice drops out in your glass.
I know.
So it's one of those modern conveniences that is nice, but it's a constant something you need to always keep an eye on.
By the way, for the do-it-yourselfers, and I'm not really one of them, although this project I did myself. I went to Lowe's or Home. I always forget which one I go to. But anyway, there were so many choices. And I thought, well, price must make a difference. So I got the most expensive hose that was there, which was only like $6. But it was metal. The other one's like that. What do you call it?
Was a braided,
plastic. Yeah. Well, there was a braided like plastic, and it was like $3.
And then you had a braided metal.
I don't know if it was braided. It was just metal.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Well, it's just a solid metal.
Well, it's a bendable metal.
Okay, so it's braided. Yeah. Those are a very good hose. We have had I can think of one leak where we had one of those malfunction and water was everywhere. Really? So that was a pretty bad leak on that one. That home was the bedroom was on the other end of the house where the guy was sleeping. So it pretty much leaked all night. And when he woke up in the morning and went to the other end of the house, his kitchen floor was wet, two bedrooms, a bathroom, hallway, and dining room. So
that's the whole thing.
Yeah, pretty extensive amount of damage. So, but
extensive and expensive.
Extensive and expensive, exactly.
Yeah. We
had another one actually yesterday. A washing machine was leaking. Fortunately, it didn't go into the other room. You know, the into the carpeted area, just stayed on the tile. The homeowner was able to find it in time to make sure nothing bad happened to the house. But the next step is to call the appliance repair guy and get him to come out and take care of the washing machine. And
where did Goldman move to after they moved out of the place that the Literacy Council moved into?
I do not know. Okay. I will Google it right now and we'll find out.
Well, you mentioned them, and I thought for some reason that they weren't in town anymore, but I guess they are.
Well, I don't know. That was what the homeowner said, so I'm not sure. I just went by what she said.
So if somebody was asking you for do-it-yourself tips, I mean, is that kind of counterproductive to what you're trying to do? Sometimes we think we can do things ourselves. We probably mess them up. I mean, in my case, it was nothing to it.
Well, I mean, it's...
But to be honest with you, I was a little bit worried that I might mess it up, especially before I took it off. I looked at it and I said, can I do this without causing a big squirt somewhere?
Right. No, and that is something like that. You want to make sure you turn off the supply line.
Yeah, yes, of course.
If there is no shut-off on it, you want to turn off the water coming into the house. And that's something that's always good to know. How do I turn off the water?
Yeah.
How do I turn off the water supply to my house in case of a disaster, in case a pipe breaks, in case you've got water shooting everywhere? Where is the shutoff?
And is it sometimes underground?
Well, yeah.
If you have a plate under some kind of metal thing.
Yeah, if you have a city, if you have city water, there will be a supply coming in from the road, and there will be a shutoff there. And that's where in case something happens to your hot water machine, know where the breaker is to turn that off.
Yeah, right.
Or if you have a well, turn the pump off. These are things that you want to know. So, Goldman's Appliance is on Northeast 16th Street is what it says.
Oh, okay.
811 Northeast 16th Street, Suite 101, Ocala.
Okay, that's good to know.
So,
because I have gone there in the past to do a few do-it-yourself things, but I'm not that good at that kind of stuff. But some of your listeners are. I have a hunch that this is the kind of show that the do-it-yourselfers like to tune into.
Well, I've got nothing wrong with helping someone, as far
somebody
as
who knows,
right? And here's the thing: if it's something that a homeowner can take care of, it's probably not a big enough job for us to do. Not that we don't want to help,
right.
And I don't make a living by telling everybody how to do it, but
right.
But we've got no problem helping people, and if it's something that you can take care of, we want to help you do it. So that way, whenever you do need help, we are here to help you.
And let's see if we have somebody asking for help right now. The phone line is open, by the way. The number is 622-WOCA. Let's take the first call. Good morning. You're on the air with Joe Reichel.
Yeah, good morning, Joe.
Good morning.
See, I don't really have a question or anything, but you're talking about water and water leakage and breaking and everything else. With my wife being an insurance agent, you'd be surprised the number of people, that take claims out on water breakage and lines and stuff while they're gone, and they come home and their house is flooded out, and it's really a big mess, especially if you got tile floor and whatnot. Well, what I did in my home here when I moved in, after she alerted me to the fact that when we go away for any time, we should really consider turning the well off. We're on a well out here,
Right.
And, well, it was kind of tricky to find the whatchamacallit. So what I did is I had a plumber come in here, and I had him relocate that line with that turnoff in the garage right up in the open where you could see it. It was a big red knob, and it was right there in case I wasn't home and my wife had a problem. She knew exactly where it was and how to adjust it to make sure that we didn't get flooded out. But
that's very smart.
Pardon?
That's very smart to do that.
Yeah, right. And because if a line breaks and you get kind of panicky and all of a sudden, where's the water? And you're running around, and you kind of forget where it is and this and that and whatnot. And this way, it's right out there. You can't miss it. And the same with we've got natural gas coming in the house.
Right.
And I also instructed her where the turnoff was, and I painted it a certain color, and I left a tool to turn it, the wrench. So.
Right.
And if she ever has to have a situation where she's got to get the gas off because we got water heaters and dryers and everything, stove and all. If you have a gas problem, there you know where it is. Turn it off, and save the house from blowing up probably.
Well, it's always smart to know where these things are, and you're to be commended for that, because most of the time, a lot of homeowners don't know how to, or don't even know where to go when this stuff happens. And couple months back we had a job in the Villages, and that kind of a situation. They had water going everywhere. They didn't know how to turn the water off. They ended up calling the fire department. The fire department basically said they couldn't turn the water off. They had to call the utilities, or the water utilities for the Villages. That guy he lives in Ocala and was a half hour away from the home, and meanwhile, they've got water going everywhere. Fortunately, at that point, the fire department did turn off the water that was coming into the house. But, if the homeowner, if a homeowner knows where or what to do, like you were talking about, it makes it that much easier, and you're able to recover faster because the damage is not as great.
I know just recently the wife had a claim for, you guys were talking about that line in the refrigerator for your ice machine, and it let go in this house, and it ran for a half a day, but in the kitchen it was all they had to take all the tile out and everything. It was just, there was no way of saving any of that, and that could turn out to be a big expense.
Oh, yeah. Well, once you get that once that starts happening, such as things start getting wet, your cabinets are expanding, you get water going up the walls, maybe behind the cabinets, in the drywall, and I mean it doesn't take long for this stuff for a water leak to cause significant damage.
Right. So it's like you say, it's highly advisable if you're going to be gone for a while. I mean, not every time you step out the door to go shopping or something, but if you're going on vacation or whatever, especially like the snowbirds. I mean, they're gone for several months. You don't want that water on in your house, or
right.
I mean, you're just asking. Not as you have somebody come over every couple of hours and check it out. But
speaking of that, I know a lot of people that offer home. Like a home inspection, or like a snowbird service, where they'll go in and check the house every so often, make sure that nothing is, everything is okay, and just to check on it.
That's a great idea, because even like in the wintertime, or the summertime down here when everybody's up north, you got all these electrical storms, and you could have a lightning strike. It might not necessarily start a fire and burn the house down, but you could have a hole in your roof where water's going to come through, and you're going to load your attic up full of water and everything else. And so that's a great idea to have somebody come in, and if it's not a service, either somebody, your neighbor, or anybody, to come in and inspect your home every so often, just to make sure things are up to par.
Even, that just made me think about, as you were talking there, I see homes all the time that have leaves build up in the valleys.
Yeah.
Or, areas. And these are homes most of the time that people live in. Or even just stuff, even it doesn't have to be on the valleys, just if it's on your roof, if you have a lot of trees overhead and you get that moss and it collects leaves and that's terrible on shingles and
Right.
will create a leak, and you don't even have, you can be living in the home. This isn't talking about something that you're not gone. You're living at home and
Right.
and you've got a disaster. So.
Yeah, I know. I had a personal experience like that years ago, where the water backed up behind the gutters. Before you know it, the wood's rotting back there, and it turned out to be very expensive to get it all fixed and do it correctly. And to get the trees away from the house that were causing a problem was the main thing.
Right. Yeah, we've got a job in the country club that we're starting on that is a water leak just from the way the house was built. Over time, it's because of the construction of the home, the way it's designed, water is backing up and coming down the walls in the garage in two different spots, and has created a rather bad kind of a lot of wet drywall and even some mold in the garage area. So
yeah. If you get water in your attic insulation, not a real major cause, but a minor, will that eventually dry out by itself, or do you have to get up there and remove or cut apart the wet stuff if it doesn't dry out and replace it, or would it maybe dry out by itself if it wasn't too extensive?
Well, that's a great question. If you get water in the attic and it's in your insulation, a lot depends on the type of insulation, but water will compact like a blown-in insulation. Water will compact that. Okay. It's just a loose fiber, and the more compact insulation is, the less the R value. So, at that point, it would be best to take it out. Whether or not it will dry out, yes, under the right circumstances, it will dry out, because typically your attic, as long as the source of the water is stopped, the attic is typically a hot area because of the roof getting heated up, and it will dry out. But that water will get underneath the insulation, and then it'll cause the drywall that's on the ceiling. Yeah, typically if it's a drywalled ceiling, it'll cause problems there as far as maybe the drywall coming off of the coming loose and falling in. But it really depends how wet it is. I guess would be the question here.
Problems where fireplace chimneys separate from the building a little bit and cause leakage in that area?
All the time.
All the time, yeah. I kind of
either separating or if they're not built right, maybe they don't have a cricket behind them and the water's gathering there, or even just a lot of times a building material that has been very popular in this area that isn't necessarily a great material to use is like a wood siding, like a T111 they call it.
Okay.
And that has the vertical grooves in it, every so far apart, and it looks beautiful. It's a nice, but it is a wood board, and with the weather that we have here, the humidity and all the rain, it will get, it will rot out anywhere the water, it's exposed to the water, or or if it's not painted well. So we've had quite a few jobs where chimneys have caused extensive leaks or damage caused by a chimney just because of either its age, B, the materials that it's used, or C, it wasn't constructed right to begin with.